When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word that I too may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out, and behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star. And on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord. So traditionally, Epiphany is celebrated January the 6th. We are celebrating in the USA. We are in our calendar. We have Epiphany on the Sunday. That's why we are celebrating today. But the tradition says that Epiphany is January the 6th. Why January the 6th? Because there is a connection with what happens in the skies. In the skies we have what we know as the solstice of winter, which is not of course January the 6th, but is December 21st. So December 21st is the solstice of winter. Solstice, it means that the sun stays. The sun stops. Stops from what? Because you know that when from autumn toward winter, the days are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And it seems that really, the sun is going to disappear, and the darkness is overcoming the light. But this happens until December 21st. But in the ancient times, they had no way to see that it was December 21st. They could only see that the light, the sun, was having longer days only after a while. Only January the 6th, it was possible to realize that actually, light is growing again. So that's why January the 6th was celebrated before Christianity as the day when the sun overcome darkness. Then when Christians came, so our sun, our light is Jesus. So it was Emperor Constantine, the one who said, yes, January the 6th is the celebration of the light overcoming darkness, which is Jesus. So the Epiphany started being a Christian celebration. One thought, we hold that thought. Okay, now we will connect with the second thought that we have, which is the presence of these Magi kings. We say Magi, this is, a milder word. It's a nicer word for not saying magicians, but actually, Matthew said magicians. We don't want to say magicians. Why? Because magicians, are usually, people who are selling words, or working, those are sorcerers. That is another word, for them. So working these things of not clear, not clear identity. So sometimes it's good mixed with evil. So we don't want to say magician, we say Magi kings. Like to say, these are good magicians. But to explain this, there is something that we can find in the Old Testament to explain the presence of these magicians and the star, magicians following the star. Why? Because in the Old Testament, if we go and read the book of Numbers, chapter 22, from 22 to 24, those two chapters, there is the fight, the battle between Moab and Israel. Moab had a king whose name was Balak. So Balak the king of Moab, he was facing Israel as a people so strong. And why so strong? Because they had a strong God. The divinity of these people was too strong. So he decided to go to a magician, to a sorcerer. And the magician was Balaam. So the king is Balak, the magician is Balaam. So he went to Balaam and he said, I want you to curse the people of Israel. I will pay you in order for you to curse that people, so I can win against them. And so magician Balaam accepts it and he's ready to go. He goes up to the mountain in order to curse, the people of Israel. But there on the mountain, he sees the angel of God with the sword, and the angel is telling him, you will not curse the people of God. You will bless the people of God. And so on the mountain, he starts blessing the people of Israel. And King Balak got upset. Why did you bless them? I asked you to curse them. And he said, God asked me. God said, the angel of God told me to bless, not to curse. Okay, do it again, but curse them. So he went there, and again, the angel of the Lord said, you will not curse, you will bless. And so he blessed. Then we have the fourth oracle of this magician, Balaam, that is a prophecy. It's a prophecy saying that a king, a star, will be raised, will rise in Israel. And he will hold the scepter. So a star, a king, a scepter in Israel. So this is seen as a prophecy of the kings in Israel and of the king, the real star, the one who has the scepter in Israel, the king of the Jews, Jesus Christ. So you see how strange, People from a pagan world receiving a revelation of God. Not only, people from other beliefs, other religions, other areas of the world, but also, magician Balaam, in the moment that he was right there to curse the people of Israel, he received a great grace of revelation, the greatest of the whole times, the prophecy about the Messiah. Yes. You see this Magi here. They come from nobody knows exactly where, but they received the revelation in their heart. They received their epiphany before finding Jesus. They received an epiphany in their heart just because of the grace of the Lord. Sometimes we are concerned, we might be concerned about what we call evangelization. So we have in our mind that we have to convince everybody in order for everybody to become Christian. Well, no, actually, the goal of evangelization is not really convincing people. The goal of evangelization is to give witness of what we found. Because, the Magi, they were filled with joy. They were overjoying because of what they found. So this is, the very goal of evangelization. In fact, Jesus himself, he had 12 apostles and then 72 disciples. Not really enough, at the time of Jesus, to tell to everyone that he was and he is the Lord and the Messiah. So how about the rest? We never heard of it. And no worries. Because you see the Magi here. So God is talking in the heart of everybody. And what is he saying? What is this revelation? What is this epiphany? That like magician Balaam, even though you are in the worst moment, even though you went there to curse, yes, you may even curse God, and God will answer to you, not with another curse. God will bless you. God will answer to you with His grace. Yes, this is what actually happened. What is Epiphany? Epiphany is the event where, in the very moment when we were the most unprepared, in the moment when we were more sinners than ever, God sent the best. The best for God is His Son, just like for you, your son, your daughter, that is the best. You will give your life, for them. And God donated His Son, donated Jesus to us in the moment of major darkness for us. This is the light that is overcoming darkness. When we answer like God, when we answer to the darkness in our life with light, when we get rid of all the darkness in our life, which is hatred, which is when we answer to darkness with more darkness. Because if you answer with light, if you answer with love, then you will be the Son of the Most High, who makes rain on the good and the bad, and who makes His sun rise on the just and on the unjust. This is the great revelation. This is the great discovery. This is where we can find the joy of the Magi kings. That joy that gets in your heart just because you are like your Father, like God. And you do no harm to anybody. This is who Christians are. We do no harm to anybody. We only do good, even though when we receive back, we are still able to give back something good. And this is our joy, because we share, what our God is doing through Jesus. This child who came in this world only to love, to give love. That's it. This is the identity of God. This is the identity of our God. Those images, of a God who punishes, of a God who sends to hell, the revenge of God, these are all human visions, human interpretations of God. What we see today in this Epiphany is not that. Of course, the world cannot understand. Herod and all Jerusalem were troubled. Why? Because they were already installed in their richness, in their power. They didn't want to lose that. And you see, they are all involved, in their unhappiness, the unhappiness of this world. Instead, the Magi were also kings, but they are filled with joy, the joy that comes only from Jesus.